My mother demanded my wife abort to protect my infertile sister's feelings. Now my sister's divorced, and I exposed the truth that left them speechless. I'm 30 years old. I work in digital marketing, and my wife Natalie is pregnant with our first child. This should be the best news in the world, right? Well, it turns out that for my mother and my younger sister, this was basically a declaration of war. What happened after we announced the pregnancy was so surreal that sometimes I still wake up thinking, did all that really happen? But it did happen, and I need to tell this story because it literally destroyed what was left of my relationship with my family, or at least with half of it. I guess I should start from the beginning so you understand the full context. My sister Ashley is 27 years old, 3 years younger than me, and ever since we were kids, my mom, Deanne, has treated her like she was made of glass. I was the oldest son, the one who had to be responsible and mature, while Ashley could basically do whatever she wanted without consequences. Did she get bad grades? It didn't matter. It was because the teachers didn't understand her. Did she misbehave? It was because she was expressing her personality. When I made the slightest mistake, my mom would give me hour-long lectures, but with Ashley everything was, "Oh, my baby girl, don't worry, everything will be fine." My dad, Edward, was always more balanced with me, but he never dared to contradict my mom when it came to Ashley, like he knew it was a lost battle from the start. The thing is that Ashley got married like 4 years ago to a guy named Justin. Good guy, actually. He worked in finance or something like that. From the first year of marriage, they started trying to have kids, and well, nothing happened. At first, we all assumed it was normal, these things take time, but after 2 years, my sister started to completely obsess over it. Every family dinner turned into a monologue about fertility treatments, doctors, ovulation, all that stuff. And that's fine. I understand it must be frustrating and painful, but it got to the point where we couldn't talk about anything else, because Ashley would turn any conversation into her struggle to get pregnant. If someone mentioned kids, babies, or even something vaguely related to family, she would find a way to make it about her. Meanwhile, I met Natalie like 5 years ago at the company where we work. She's in the human resources department and I'm in marketing, and we became friends first before we started dating. We got married 2 years ago, a small and beautiful wedding, nothing extravagant. My family was there, obviously, but I remember that day Ashley made like 3 comments about how she and Justin were trying to give my mom a grandchild first, as if it were a competition or something. Natalie squeezed my hand and whispered to me, "Ignore her," and that's what I did. My wife is amazing at staying out of family drama, like she comes from a super calm and normal family, so all the circus of my family seems like it's from another planet to her. The thing is that Natalie and I weren't in a hurry to have kids. We wanted to enjoy the marriage first, travel a bit, get more financially stable. But last year, let's say like in March or April, Natalie started feeling weird, with morning sickness and all that, and well, she basically knew immediately that she was pregnant. We took 3 home tests because we couldn't believe it. All 3 came out positive. We went to the doctor like a week later and he confirmed that yes, we were like 8 weeks pregnant. I was super excited. Natalie too, but more nervous because, it's our first child, and it's normal to be scared. We decided to wait until 12 weeks to announce it, to make sure everything was going well. When the time came to tell our families, we did it separately. First, we went to Natalie's parents' house, and they were super happy. They cried, they hugged us, all the normal reaction you'd expect. Then we went to my parents' house that same day in the afternoon. My dad was there, my mom too, and Ashley and Justin had come for dinner, so we thought perfect. We'll tell everyone at once. We told them we had important news, and when we announced that Natalie was pregnant, there were like 3 seconds of awkward silence. My dad was the first to react. He got up and hugged us, said, "Congratulations, son, this is wonderful," and he looked genuinely happy. My mom also hugged us, but her smile looked kind of forced. You know what I mean? And Ashley, well, Ashley just sat there with a face like we had just announced we had a terminal illness or something. Justin was kind. He congratulated us, but you could see he was uncomfortable with his wife's reaction. Ashley finally said something like, "Oh, that's nice, congratulations," but with such a flat tone that it was obvious she didn't mean it. Natalie squeezed my hand again. That's her way of telling me stay calm without using words. Dinner was super tense after that. My mom tried to make conversation, but you could tell she was worried about Ashley, who basically didn't speak again the whole night. When we left, I said to Natalie in the car, "That was weird, wasn't it?" And she said, "Your family is weird, honey, but it's over now, let's go home." I thought that was it. That Ashley would have her hurt feelings or whatever, but that she'd eventually get over it. How naive I was. 2 days later, 2 days, I get a call from my mom. It was like 9 in the morning. I was working from home, and when I saw her name on the screen, I thought it was going to be something normal, like, "How are you? How is Natalie feeling?" But no. I answered, and the first thing she tells me is, "Samuel, we need to talk about your decision." My decision? I asked her what she was talking about. And she, with all the seriousness in the world, tells me that Natalie and I needed to consider aborting the baby because Ashley couldn't handle seeing us have a child while she couldn't. I swear I thought she was joking. I even laughed, like I waited for her to say, "Just kidding, son. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you that." But she didn't. She kept talking, saying that Ashley was devastated, that she had been crying for 2 days straight, that this was going to destroy her mental health, that she had just started a new fertility treatment, and that our pregnancy was going to ruin her chances of success because stress affects fertility. I listened to her talk for like 5 minutes without interrupting her because I literally couldn't process what I was hearing. When she finished her speech, I asked her if she was serious, if she was really asking my wife and me to abort our child, our wanted and planned child, so that my sister wouldn't feel bad. And she said yes, that it was the right thing to do, that Ashley needed me, that I had always been the selfish older brother who only thought about himself, and that this was my chance to show my sister that I cared about her. I was shaking with rage at that moment. Natalie came into the room and saw my face and immediately knew something was very wrong. I told my mom that she was completely crazy if she thought I was going to do that Natalie and I were having this baby, that Ashley needed therapy if she couldn't handle other people having children, and to never call me again with that nonsense. She started screaming that I was a horrible son, that I was choosing to hurt my sister, that I was going to regret this decision. I hung up and blocked her immediately. I blocked her number, her WhatsApp, her Facebook, everything. Natalie asked me what had happened, and when I told her, she was shocked. She's a super calm person normally, but she was furious. She told me that under no circumstances should I unblock my mom, that had crossed all possible boundaries, and that she didn't want that toxicity to be around her during the pregnancy. I completely agreed. My dad called me like 2 hours later. He had heard from my mom that we had a big fight, and when I told him what she had asked me, there was a long silence on the line. Finally, he said he was very sorry, that he was going to talk to my mom, that what she had asked was not okay. I thanked him but told him I wasn't going to unblock her until she understood what she had done, if she ever did. 4 months went by like that, without talking to my mom or Ashley. My dad would call me from time to see how we were doing. He would always apologize for them, said that Ashley was in therapy now, that my mom was sorry but didn't know how to reach out. I told him I appreciated that he kept in touch, but that I wasn't ready to deal with them yet. Natalie and I enjoyed the pregnancy in peace. Without drama, it was honestly beautiful. We did the doctor's appointments, we bought things for the baby, we set up the room, all that. Natalie's parents were super involved and excited, and that helped a lot. When Natalie hit like 7 months pregnant, we decided to make a public announcement on social media. Until that moment, only our close friends and Natalie's family knew. But we wanted to share the news with everyone. We posted a nice photo of the two of us, Natalie with her belly already big and visible, with a caption that said something like, "We can't wait to meet you, little one. Arriving in 2 months." The post blew up with likes and comments, everyone happy for us. It was very nice. What we didn't anticipate was that this was going to be like waving a red flag in front of a bull. The next day, a Saturday morning, we were having breakfast peacefully when the doorbell rang. Natalie was still in her pajamas. Me too. We weren't expecting anyone. I went to open the door, and there were my mom and Ashley, standing at the door with funeral faces. My first reaction was to close the door, but my mom put her foot to prevent it and said, "Samuel, please, we need to talk. Give your sister a chance to explain herself." Ashley was already crying, like she hadn't even started talking and she was already a mess of tears. I sighed and let them in but told them they had 5 minutes. They sat down in the living room. Natalie came out of the bedroom, and when she saw them, her face completely changed. She sat down next to me and didn't say anything, just watched. My mom started with an obviously prepared speech, saying she was very sorry about what had happened, that she had been wrong to ask me what she asked, that she was just trying to protect Ashley, but that she understood now that she had crossed a line. Ashley kept crying, looking at the floor, twisting a tissue in her hands. When my mom finished, I told her I appreciated the apology, but that it didn't change what had happened, that it had been an absolutely unacceptable request, and that it had probably permanently damaged our relationship. Then Ashley finally spoke, with a trembling voice, saying she needed me to know something. She said she had gone to a new specialist like 2 months ago, and that they had diagnosed her with severe infertility, that basically, she would never be able to have biological children, that her only option was adoption or surrogacy, and that Justin and she didn't have the money for any of those options. She started crying harder, saying that seeing my post had been like a knife in the heart, that she had wanted to be a mother her whole life and that I had robbed her of that dream by having a baby first, that it wasn't fair that I had everything while she had nothing. And look, part of me felt sorry for her. I really did. But the way she was saying it, as if I had done something wrong to her on purpose, as if my happiness was a personal attack against her, made me angry again. I told her I was very sorry about her situation, but that my wife and I weren't having a baby to hurt anyone, that this had nothing to do with her, that the world didn't revolve around her problems. My mom immediately jumped to defend her, saying I was being cruel and insensitive, that Ashley needed my support in this difficult time. I told them they had to leave, that they'd had their chance to talk, and that I didn't want to continue this conversation. But they didn't move. My mom said she wasn't leaving until I promised to support my sister, that that's what families do. Ashley said between sobs that she needed me to delete the social media post because every time someone commented on it or liked it, she got the notification since we were connected as friends, and that each notification was a reminder of what she couldn't have. I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. Really? Was she really asking me to hide my pregnancy so I wouldn't hurt her feelings? I told them again to leave, this time louder. My mom refused, said I was acting like a child, that I needed to grow up and think about someone other than myself, and that's when I exploded. I told them I was sick of this whole situation, that Ashley had been spoiled and coddled her, a whole life, to the point of believing that everyone had to modify their lives to accommodate her, that she was a selfish and narcissistic person who couldn't feel happiness for anyone else if she wasn't the center of attention, and that it was probably better that she couldn't have children because she would be a terrible mother with that attitude. I also told my mom that she had created this monster by never setting boundaries for her, by treating her like she was more important than everyone else, and that now she had to live with the consequences of having raised a daughter who thought the world owed her everything. Yes, those were harsh things. Very harsh. I probably went too far with the comment about her being a terrible mother, I admit that, but I was so angry, frustrated, and I had been putting up with all this crap for months. Natalie took my hand, looked at me and said quietly, "That's enough." My mom and Ashley sat there in shock for a moment, and then my mom got up, called to Ashley, and they both left without saying anything else. The door closed and I stood there shaking. Natalie hugged me and told me everything was going to be okay, that we had done the right thing by setting boundaries. I thought that was the end of everything. I was wrong. Like, 2 days later, I start getting messages from friends and acquaintances asking me what was up with what Ashley and my mom had posted on Facebook. I went to their profiles, because even though I had them blocked, a friend sent me screenshots, and it turns out they had made a joint post, like a long, dramatic post, telling their version of events. They said I had announced my pregnancy, knowing it would hurt Ashley, that I had yelled at them and said horrible things when they only wanted to congratulate me, that I had kicked them out of my house, that I was a cruel brother who enjoyed his sister's pain. Basically, they painted me as a heartless villain. The post had like hundreds of comments from people saying things like how horrible, poor Ashley, how can he be so insensitive, and all that garbage. She told me we had to respond, that we couldn't let them spread lies about us. At first, I didn't want to. I thought responding would only escalate things, but she was right that our silence made it seem like what they were saying was true. So, that night, I sat down and wrote a long post on my own Facebook telling the whole complete story. From my mom's call asking me to abort the baby, to the uninvited visit to our house, everything. I left nothing out. I explained that yes, I had said harsh things, but that it had been after months of harassment and unreasonable demands, and that I was protecting my pregnant wife from the toxic stress my family was trying to cause us. The post exploded even more than theirs. Within hours, I had comments of all kinds, most of them supporting me, saying that what my mom had asked was sick, that Ashley needed professional help, that I had done right to set boundaries. Some comments criticized that I had said cruel things about Ashley's infertility, and that's valid, but most people understood the full context now. Like 3 or 4 hours after posting it, I got a private message from Justin, Ashley's husband. He told me he was so sorry about everything that had happened, that he hadn't known about my mom's initial call until recently, that he was horrified by what they had asked Natalie and me to do, and that he had been trying to convince Ashley to go to more serious therapy, but that she refused to accept she had a problem. He told me his marriage was basically over, that he couldn't continue with someone so toxic, and that he had only stayed until now out of pity, but that this was the last straw. I thanked him for his honesty and told him I was sorry he was in that situation. It was weird to have that exchange because Justin had always seemed like a good guy to me, but we had never been close or anything. He made it clear to me that he didn't agree with anything Ashley and my mom had done. By the next day, both Ashley and my mom had deleted their original post. Apparently, the comments had turned against them after people read my complete version of the facts, and they couldn't handle the criticism. I left my post up for like another week, but eventually I deleted it too because I didn't want that to define the narrative of our pregnancy, you know? I didn't want people to associate the arrival of our baby with all that family drama. The last 2 months of the pregnancy were quiet, thank God. My dad kept calling. He eventually met our son when he was born, a beautiful and healthy baby who's now like 5 months old. He comes to visit us regularly, always alone, never brings my mom or mentions Ashley. Apparently, Justin kept his word and asked for a divorce. The process ended like 2 months ago, according to my dad. Ashley moved back to my parents' house. She doesn't have a stable job, and according to my dad, she's worse than before mentally. My mom now has to deal alone with the consequences of having raised a daughter who can't function as an independent adult, and honestly, I don't feel even a little bit of pity for her. I haven't talked to either of them since that visit to my house. I haven't unblocked them. I don't plan to. Natalie and I are happy. Our baby is incredible, and life without all that toxic drama is much better. Sometimes my dad hints that Ashley has changed, that she's in real therapy now, that she wants to apologize. But even if she wanted to apologize, I don't think I can forgive what happened. Not because she can't have children, but because of how she handled the whole situation, for thinking the world had to stop for her, for trying to make me feel guilty about my own happiness. Last week, my son grabbed my finger while I was feeding him and just stared at me with those little eyes, and I thought, it was worth losing that part of my family to protect my new family. I don't know if I'll ever have a relationship with my mom or Ashley again. Part of me hopes that someday they can understand what they did wrong, but another part doesn't really care anymore. I have Natalie, I have my son, I have my dad and my in-laws who are amazing, and that's enough. Sometimes the families you choose are better than the ones you're born into, I guess.